Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As always, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I truly appreciate you all. Love you all. Thank you all. So, have a great show for you lined up today. And that show is about the ego and its hold or grip on us as a society and us as individuals, and what a grip it has. It's pretty telling when you begin this awakening process. It's pretty interesting to, as you awaken, begin to develop an understanding of what the ego mind is trying to do and what it actually does do to so many of us. And I was completely unaware of this, prior to me actually awakening. So, just to recap a little bit, this is the Communication from Beyond podcast, episode 4. And that song that started out is POD, Freedom Fighters, name of the song. So we're talking about ascension and really what that means. So the first episode was about ascension. Then we got into being the best version of yourself. We got into meditation. And now we are talking about the ego mind, the ego, and how its hold affects us and how detrimental it is to our growth if we continue to allow it to run us, which it currently does for so many. And the ego mind can be defined in so many different ways. You can look at someone who is what they call self-centered, truly only interested in themselves. Okay, that's a facet of being egotistical. But the spiritual sense of the word, when it comes to the ego mind, is something that is attempting. It is a conscious portion of your mind that is attempting to keep you disconnected from the universal oneness. And when I say conscious mind, I mean that sincerely. It is no joke. And I will share some stories with you that I have experienced with the ego mind and continue to experience to this day. A lot of people will describe the ego mind as the negative portion of your mind, the one that wants to keep you in fear. It wants you to fear growth, fear expansion, fear, again, that universal want, not fear, but it does not want you to believe in the universal oneness, because that ego mind lives here in this third dimensional world. This is when we are first born, we are confronted with this veil of forgetfulness, which I almost liken to we get our ego mind. So we go through this veil of forgetfulness, and I personally perceive it to be we actually get our ego mind attached, which is attached through our consciousness. But it's a level of consciousness that we are supposed to try to overcome, because the ego mind is so negative and wants to, I'm going to say, harm you, because it really does, in the sense that it doesn't want your growth. It doesn't want you to succeed. And it's going to try to dissuade you from doing good things for yourself. Now, depending on what that is, obviously, it wants to keep you from this universal oneness. It wants to keep you from being the best version of yourself. It wants to survive. And the only way that it can survive is if we feed it. And there's an old Indian story that I absolutely love and tell it and retell it quite frequently. And it goes like this. An Indian chief takes his son out into the plains, and they're talking, and the chief says to his son, "Son, there are two wolves in your mind. The good wolf, who is happy, loving, peaceful, grateful, content, willing to let go. And then you have the bad wolf, who is angry, sad, frustrated. And there's a war in your mind between them." And then the child turns to his dad and says, "Well, which one wins, Dad?" And the chief says, "The one that you feed the most." I love that story. I absolutely love it because it's, in my opinion, 100% accurate. Whatever you feed your mind, whether it's love, peace, gratefulness, if you feed it all this high vibrational feelings, emotions, words, energy, really, then that's what's going to start to grow. But if you continue to feed it the sadness, the frustration, well, then clearly that energy is going to get more, and that wolf is going to succeed. And as we spoke last time, we were together about meditation. It's all about being in that moment and making those choices to feed the high vibrational energy. And that's when we start to defeat the ego mind. And the ego mind, like I said, is very aware of what you're doing, what you're trying to do, and it will play some games on you. It will not make things easy. But I don't say that to scare you. I say all of this to bring awareness to it. And I'll give you a for instance here. So I'm a medium. I channel. And when, for whatever reason, every time I would walk down into my basement, I would hear something that I thought was the guy downstairs. You know, like I thought I was hearing something that was not good. And it was every time I walked into my basement, I thought I heard this. I mean, it wasn't audibly. I didn't hear it audibly. I just heard it in my mind. I heard, you guys know, I tell you all the time, I'm a channeler. And I seriously just thought that I was hearing a spirit of low vibration talking to me in a very negative sense. And that went on for probably, it was over a year, because I still have it happen to me now on occasion. But then one day I was channeling like I try to do almost every day. And I asked God and his messengers, archangels, ascended masters, why do I keep hearing this? If I am so connected with you guys, why do I hear this? And they said, they came in and they went, Chris, it's not what you think it is. It's not the guy downstairs that you're hearing. And I say the guy downstairs because I don't even like it. I don't even like putting that energy out there. Saying the guy downstairs is a much, in my opinion, it's a more high vibrational way of saying that. So anyway, just to give you a heads up. So anyway, I'm channeling and God comes in and goes, Chris, you're not hearing what you think you're hearing. You're not hearing the guy downstairs. What you are hearing is your ego mind trying to regain control. It doesn't want you to align with us because you're getting rid of it. You're not feeding it anymore and it wants to be fed. You are actually rising above it. And it is, I never heard anybody talk about the ego mind like that, where it almost had this awareness, this sense to it which is like kind of freaky when you think about it, but it's true. Also, when you think about it, how much does that part of your mind just want to tear you down? So when you go into this awakening process, you're almost fighting yourself. You're fighting yourself to start talking better to yourself, to start feeding the positive aspect of your mind, which in my opinion is your higher self, your subconscious, your soul, and different levels of your soul. That's what I perceive to be your higher self. It's your subconscious, your soul. It's all of that. Your guides are even part of your higher self. The universal energy is part of your higher self. So when I found out that it was my own mind that was trying to trick me and trying to get me to think in a way because it wanted me to fear something so that I didn't continue to do what I do, it stopped because it knew I was now aware of what it was trying to do, and it lost its effect on me. Not that it ever affected me in any way because I wasn't stopping. You fear nothing here, and that's part of the beauty of this awakening process, is that you understand that fear is completely unnecessary. You don't fear. You be in the moment and you listen and are aware of the communication that you get from above, from God, from universal energy, from the light, from your guides, your messengers, and you move in a direction that aligns with them. And there is absolutely only love that you need to hold on to because you understand that they are always with you and that they are always helping you. And when you let go of this ego mind and you learn, excuse me, I'm sorry, I've been sick and I cannot get my throat cleared. But anyway, when you learn to be aware of what this ego mind can do and what it's trying to do, and you start feeding the good wolf in you, your higher self, and all that's included in that, there is no need for fear, no need for sadness. Now, with that being said, you will experience fear and sadness because we live in a world of duality. So it's inevitable. It's going to happen. But when you are in alignment and you let go of the ego mind, and the ego mind doesn't have that control over you anymore, you now understand that I have a purpose. I have guides who will guide me in the correct way, in the proper direction. So you can go without fear, without questions. And that's a beautiful position to be in. And I don't make decisions ever without taking a day or even some time, depending on the size of the decision that I'm making, whether it be a new job or whether I'm going to move somewhere. I always take time with being still with these thoughts. So to get my ego mind out, because I don't want to live in fear. So here's a for instance. A couple years ago, I was in a position, my wife and I, my family, we were getting ready to move. And I wanted to make sure it was a good decision, right, for my family. So I spent some time and I meditated. And I made sure I was in that moment, and I would ask God, the universe, masters, whoever, everyone, all light beings, those here for my highest and greatest good, is this the right decision for me? Is this the decision that I should make? And I continuously got, you are okay to make this decision. I paid attention to my feelings. I paid attention to the energy around me and how it was trying to make me feel after I would make those questions. And then I would spend a day trying to be aware of my energy and how I thought. Like anytime that I thought about this particular move, okay, was it a negative thought? Was it a positive thought? And depending on what I would feel, I would be aware of it and just note it. Well, after a couple of days, I spend enough time with this energy, I knew that it was the right decision. Because I knew that I got my ego mind out of it, and my ego mind wasn't directing this decision. Because I was still in my mind, I paid attention to my feelings, and now your ego mind will try to come in there and go, "Oh my gosh, no, you're gonna experience this and you're gonna experience that." But quiet yourself take some time and clear your mind. Take some time to be in the moment. All right. Now, when you're in the moment and you're trying to overcome your ego mind, you simply take your mind and focus it. Focus it on something else. Your heart, your solar plexus, your heart chakra, your throat chakra, your third eye. Focus it on any one of these chakras, right? And just get it put it in a center spot, right? And all these chakras are center in your body, so they're good center spots. You put it on one of those chakras. Ask yourself that question and just feel the energy. All right, so I know right now my ego mind is not in this decision whatsoever because my ego mind is everywhere but center. My ego mind is trying to get me away from center. So that is how I try to make my decisions. And after I spend some time with it, I understand and I can go into every decision that I make with peacefulness, with an understanding that this was a decision that I made from my higher self, with my higher self's guidance. And again, higher self is a collective. It's the universal energy, it's God, it's your guides, your archangel guides, your ascended master guides, it's everyone. It's everyone that's playing, even loved ones that have passed play a role in guiding you as you are going along and asking for assistance. And that is it's such a beautiful aspect of all this, because once you get that ego mind out of there, you begin to learn and lean on their love and their understanding of your path in this lifetime. Because as we go through that veil of forgetfulness, we don't know what we agreed upon prior to our incarnation. We don't know that. So we forget and we rely on them to help us. Well, they help us when we center our minds and release and let go of our ego mind. And there you go. There you have it. It's a beautiful, it's a somewhat complicated process. I'll give you that. And I won't even say complicated. It's not complicated. It's more complicated to get to the point where you realize, okay, I need to do something here. I need to change something. Like once you get to that point, the rest is, okay, just going out and doing the work. All right, am I going to quiet my mind? Am I going to focus it? Am I going to give myself enough love and understanding and peacefulness and patience, perseverance, to continue to work towards quieting my mind and learning to diffuse the ego mind, not feed it, not give it energy, and give energy to the love, to the gratefulness, to the appreciation, to the light. Once you do that, you will find a way to go into every new situation with a new perspective that is based upon love and light. And what greater thing is there to have than to go into a situation with that in mind? Another, for instance, I worked at a company for a year. I actually just left them about 3 months ago. And this company, wow, the energy at the headquarters of this company was toxic. I'll just say that. It was one person after another, only looking after themselves. They just don't and didn't care about really anybody but themselves. Obviously, there were a couple of people who did. There's always exceptions. But for the majority of them, they just didn't care. And it was from the top down. Top down. They just don't care about people. And it was extremely difficult because the negativity in this location was intense and real, very, very heavy. And it, over time, it started to wear me out. I didn't even have I would literally try to find any excuse possible to get out of the building for a little bit of time so that I could find myself, because I was losing it so much with the energy in this building. And I would do a lot of light work on it, and the amount of change that I did see in the time that I was there was actually pretty impressive, but it wasn't enough, and I could feel that it was still weighing on me heavily. So I had to get out. However, I didn't just leave. I truly spent some time with the decision. And no kidding, I started sending resumes out, and I got a call from this one company. They asked me if I could come in for an interview. I was excited, clearly. You know, I wanted out of this one company, and I was curious about this one. And I go on an interview, and they did offer me the job. And I went home that night, and I spent a couple of days, actually more like a week, doing exactly what we said here. Quieting my mind, spending some time with the decision of taking it. Because you don't want to just jump into any situation. Just because I got an offer doesn't mean this next situation is going to be a good one. You know, you don't know that. So I wanted to make sure. Well, on my way to the interview, I was on the phone with my wife, and I was telling her, yeah, I'm excited about it. We'll see how it goes. While on the phone call, I literally heard ringing in my right ear. And for those of you that don't know, ringing in the right ear is a good sign. That's a sign of something that's pretty positive that could happen. Whereas ringing in the left ear is a sign or communication that something not so good could happen. It could be anything. You don't know what it is, but either way, for those of you that don't or do know, right ear is a sign of good, left ear is a sign of something not so good. Okay, so on my way there, I hear ringing in my right ear, and I'm like, whoa, I'm hearing ringing in my right ear. And then immediately I heard, we're protecting your energy. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. I go to the interview, and right away the guy offers me the job. I mean, it wasn't even a second interview. It was like, I don't do this very often, but I like you. This is what we'll give you. Are you interested? So I say yeah, but I go home. I spend some time with it. I spend a couple of days. Well, I had to go back a couple of days later to do some paperwork, and I started to see. I saw like piles of feathers in different locations, and black feathers, mind you, and black feathers. Any symbol that you get, any communication you get, it's open to interpretation, right? So the black feather, what I found and resonated with me, is a protection from negative energy, which was absolutely mind-blowing because I'm coming from an extremely toxic environment, looking at this new position, and they're telling me, I'm seeing this feather saying, hey, we're protecting your energy. I'm hearing that word, we're protecting your energy, or I'm hearing that phrase in my mind. I'm seeing the feathers that are validating that message, and I'm hearing ringing in my right ear. Okay, you can't get too many more signs before, without them literally slapping you in the face going, yo, Chris, this is an opportunity that we're divinely guiding you towards. So, again, I spent some time with it, and I did end up taking the job because of all these signs I was getting, because I separated my ego mind from it, and I didn't live in that fear that I was feeling from it, that I didn't live in the fear from my ego mind going, oh, this opportunity isn't going to be a good one. Just because you're leaving doesn't mean it's going to be good. Like, I know my ego mind is trying to scare me out of leaving, and he's saying, yo, this job, though, the job that you're leaving, you know it, you're familiar with it, you're comfortable, but that doesn't matter, because in the end, it was beating me up. The energy was it was too intense for me to deal with it for too long, where there weren't many of us that were trying to bring light to the situation. That's extremely difficult. So I did leave, and I'm so happy I did. And with that being said, it's not that I don't have struggles in my current position. I really do. But the energy is night and day. And I am so grateful that I did listen to my higher self, the universal oneness. I am so appreciative that they did guide me, and that I did listen, and that I did make this move, because my ego mind didn't win. I'll never allow it to win. I'm going to feed all that good energy, and now I am where I am, and I'm much, much happier. So I appreciated all that. So the ego mind, yeah, it's a conscious thing. And when I say conscious, it's like that story that we were talking about earlier when I would go into the basement. That thing knew it was trying to make me scared. It was trying to dissuade me from continuing to do this. So it absolutely is a conscious thing. And when you are trying to overcome it, be aware of that. Be aware of this mind in your own mind that is truly trying to keep you from developing into a oneness. It wants to keep you from understanding that you are part of the entire world. You are connected to every other person on this planet, in this realm, spiritually. It doesn't matter. Anything that you are connected to, everything. You're connected to God. You carry him with you in your heart. You're connected to your Ascended Masters, your spirit guide, your archangels. You are connected to everything, even the ones that are not your guides, your archangels, your Ascended Masters. You are connected. You are connected to me. I am connected to you. Your ego mind does not want you to believe that. It's going to sit there and say, no, you're not. No. But we are. We're connected through energy and through the universal consciousness of love. Love, in and of itself, we all carry in us. Even those that you don't think do, like psychopaths or people like that. You don't think they do. They do. It's just their ego mind is so entrenched in there, and they are feeding the ego mind rather than the love, and the ego is winning. And therefore, they are doing what that thing wants it to do. And it's really good to begin to understand what the ego mind can make us do and the control that it has over us. Well, some of us, because some of us don't even realize what's going on in our minds. We can't control it. We don't know what's happening. And yeah, it just takes off, and man, away it goes. So these are part of lessons, though, life lessons that people in every soul goes through. Some period in their life is going to learn how to overcome the ego mind. And sometimes you have to learn to overcome the ego mind by allowing it to take over. So I'm not telling you to do that by no stretch. In fact, I would encourage the opposite if you possess that power. What I am saying is, do not judge those that have allowed their ego minds to take over, because they are just a step in the process that is ultimately trying to get them to the enlightened state, right? The enlightened state, as so part of the ascension becoming one with universal energy, one with all of your spiritual connections in all the realms. What an enlightened person looks like on earth would be like Jesus. Jesus would be a absolute representation of what an awakened spirit soul looks like on earth. And Buddha is a absolute representation of how to get there. Buddha shows us the way to get to how to be like Jesus. Moses, all of them. To anybody in any of these religions, right? And please forgive me, I'm not familiar with a lot of religions. I'm not. But all of the spiritual teachers, representations of these religions are all representations of different ways that we can begin to attain this level of consciousness, which is ultimately to be an all-forgiving, an all-loving, an all-peaceful human being here on this plane. And the ego mind is what we have to conquer in order to get there. And conquer is exactly what we need to do, because this thing is going to fight you. But you absolutely have the power to beat it. With love of yourself, love of others, non-judgments, acceptance of others. I won't even say non-judgments. I will say acceptance of others and their paths, because we are all on it. The ego mind will judge people. It will make you, it'll try to separate us. The ego mind will. But there is no separation. You are me, I am you, end of story. It is what we are. We are all energy, people. It's just like you carry your parents' physical DNA. Well, we carry God's DNA with us as well. We all carry this universal love, light, energy in us all. We are all born of energy. We are all formed of energy. We're all water, energy, some form, way, shape, or form. You know what I'm trying to say. We are all energy. We are all connected. There is no separation. There is no I and you. It is we and us together. Now, you fix you, right? And you will send those ripples into the world to help others heal themselves. Because just as we spoke last week, transmutation of energy is absolutely possible. And we're going to get into how the energy works and the universal laws of energy and get into that more. But for now, the focus is on the ego mind and its consciousness, and it's truly trying to keep you down. Be aware of it. Fight it. Fight it with love, though. You do not fight it with anger. You don't get mad at it. I had a guy come to me one time, and we were talking about this very subject. And he said, he was telling me a story where his ego mind was similar to mine, where it was trying to make him think something negative was around him. And he came to me and he goes, I cursed that thing out. I was throwing that every F-bomb out there. I was telling him that he is nothing and he is effing this and that. And I said, you are feeding it. It wants you to act in a negative manner. It wants you to react negatively. You rise above it with love. So if you think you have to curse at it, well then it's better to say nothing at all and just ignore it. Or, which actually that's what I do and what I would recommend. I just completely ignore it when it's consciously trying to do something to me. Do something to me like when I was coming down my steps. I just ignored it. Ignore it or send it love, because that's going to change it. If I send it that negativity, if I send it all those F-bombs and all those curses and all that anger and sadness and frustration, it's happy that I'm doing that. It's loving life because, hey, it's winning. That's what it wants from us, right? So we have to rise above. We have to change that. We have to change that energy. Be in that moment. Change the energy. Rise above. Send it love. And it will change. That is the answers. That's the answer, ladies and gentlemen. Send it love. I send love. I align. You don't. And I won't say talk to it. Don't even do that. Just align yourself. I align myself with the light, the love of God's light at this very moment. When you hear it, when you think that it's your ego mind that is trying to do something to you and trying to bring you down, I align myself with God's light at this time. I am grateful for where I am at this time. I am moving forward. I am statements. They're another one we are going to get into. The most powerful statements that you can possibly say to yourself. And that's negative or positive. I encourage you to only be positive about them. But I am statements are the best way to overcome your ego mind. I am beautiful. I am light. I am love. I am capable of succeeding. I am in this moment. And then I am all day long. You will feel a shift in your energy that is so palpable. It's an absolutely beautiful transformation when you begin to say these I am statements repeatedly. You begin to say them so much that you can feel that energy, that energy just shift in you because you are aligning with God's light. At that very moment that you say these I am statements, you are first, you're defeating, you are removing this ego mind of yours, but then you are also rising yourself. So powerful. One of the best, if not the very best way of removing and overcoming your own ego mind is I am statements that are positive and a positive about you, positive about where you're going, just positive. Absolutely the best. So let me take a few minutes. I'm going to channel for you in a few seconds here. But just to recap, I am statements. The ego mind is a conscious thing. I am statements are absolutely the most powerful way that you can overcome the ego mind, but also awareness of it. Awareness of it, and then once you're aware, stating the I am statements, this all helps. All helps with overcoming, with transmuting this energy, with lowering the veil of forgetfulness that is right before us, and opening ourselves up to a new understanding of who we truly are, which is divine spiritual beings, divine souls. We're a soul first before we are human. We are souls that choose the body, not bodies that choose our souls. It's not how it is. And we go through this veil of forgetfulness that I like to call the ego mind, or not I like to call, but is the ego mind. Some people don't say that the veil of forgetfulness is the ego mind, but I do. So we go through this veil of forgetfulness and are equipped with this ego mind, and when we forget. And part of this process of awakening is remembering who you are, which is a truly divinely guided spiritual soul that is filled with love, filled with light, and you're now opening up to that understanding. and you are connected to every single other person, place, thing, spiritual and walking, that is here, even the negative, right? So we are not separated. The we like to think that we're not one with these people that might not be doing very good things, murderers. We might not think that we are one with these low vibrational things down there. We are all one, people. They came from God too. They're fallen angels, right? Think about that for a second. Don't fear it. Love, send love to it. That is the only way to beat it. Because when you get mad, when you get frustrated, when you send it off, that emotion, then you're just sending that out into the world and it's winning. Feed the good wolf. Be the good wolf. Be like Jesus and get there like Buddha. It's the only way. Well, I won't say it's the only way, but it's a great way to go about it. But it gives you another understanding of what the heck is all going on here. You play such a vital role in all of this. Each and every one of you plays such an inspired role in all of this. Important, very important. And you carry a lot of power. But when you allow that ego mind to overcome and rule you, well then, at this moment that you do that, you might be losing a little bit. And I don't want to see you do that. Love yourself enough to be in that moment and to notice what your ego mind is trying to do, and then rise above it with the I am statements. Be powerful. There are no easy roads, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that. And whether you achieve all your goals in this lifetime or another lifetime, you're going to get there. All of us are awakening. Let me take a few minutes to channel for you now. Again, I apologize for the throat thing, but let's go ahead and channel. Enoch speaking, my children. Once again, we are pleased to have you at our presence. Beautiful session this was this evening with Christopher. And we must encourage you to believe and understand that our presence is not only here when Christopher channels. He is actually relaying messages that are being telepathically placed into his mind during his podcast sessions. It is not all his thoughts coming through at these times. As is indicated earlier, I am currently channeling now. However, I am often communicating through Christopher during his podcasts, which he is very well aware of the idea of this happening, but was not 100% certain. I am here to inform him and you that, my children, Enoch speaking, I come through often in these sessions through him telepathically, placing ideas into his mind and allowing for these ideas to be communicated through him, as he has so willingly accepted this opportunity to be with you all and to communicate with us and for us through him. We are truly grateful for all your presence and the divine beings that are all here at this moment with each and every one of you, for these sessions are divinely infused with love and light. We are eagerly here to tell you all that this earthly realm is ascending even higher at this moment. The new moon that has just passed has provided a level of forgetfulness to be lifted, and another piece of the onion, if you will, to be removed, allowing for the energy within this atmosphere to be one step closer to being seen, completed in a sense. Not completed entirely, but in the sense of seeing and experiencing more. You all shall experience more in the very near future with these layers being released. You are all God's children and all part of the divine plan of ascension, and your jobs as light beings, light workers, healers, all jobs, musicians even, for you send out loving frequencies into this world, all play such a major role in this world and its ascension, its understanding of the importance of love. For each of you carry love and distribute love in different ways, which is part of the plan, beautiful process it is. For there is not one way of speaking to an individual that will resonate with everyone. It is the resonation in different ways with different individuals that helps so much. Some choose religion to begin to experience the love of the divine. Some choose music, others poetry, art, are all ways. Yes, even sports, athletics are a way of and a means to ascension, for it is a teaching of the love, whether it be the love of a game. That lesson can be brought upon in other lifetimes to as a lesson to be used as a way to find love in God. For the love of a sport is love nonetheless, and the love of God is love nonetheless. And if you learn to love one thing in another time, in another lifetime, you can learn to love God. And this is a lesson that will be brought forward. This, my children, we encourage you to understand is so very important in not judging those that are around you, for you are all on the same path, although maybe on different fields or classes, however you define. Your lessons are all the same and will be experienced, though, in different lifetimes. There shall be peace to be found in these growth processes here for each individual. We ask you not to judge, but to hold acceptance and love for each individual within your heart. And this, my children, will be sending loving vibrations to the world and will transmute the negativity within a judgment into love. And thus, more love will be felt by all. We are so grateful for this session, for this podcast, for you listening, and grateful for Christopher's willingness to experience and allow for these messages to come forth in the manner in which they do. We love you all. We encourage you to be of God's light and know that your part, your place in this realm is so vitally important to its success. Yes, the ego mind is one that is very disruptive to this process of remembrance. But, my children, it is part of the plan, the idea, and it is a must that it is overcome. You must overcome the ego mind in order to awaken and ascend. It is not a question. It is a matter of fact that this must happen, and the ego mind will be forgotten. Shall you decide to rise above, as stated here today, via us through Christopher in this podcast. We thank you all, loving individuals. We are with you all always and appreciate your attention and attendance here today. Thank you and good night. May God bless you all. Enoch speaking. Well, that was very beautiful. Wow. Thank you, Enoch. I appreciate that very much. And again, I appreciate all of you. As we have said, you are all so beautiful. You are all so important to this world. Go out there and live the best life that you possibly freaking can. Because the world needs you. The world needs the best you. Get rid of that ego mind. Be aware of that ego mind. Feed that good wolf. Feed love. Feed peace. Feed gratefulness. Go out there and love yourself just like you love everybody else. It's so easy to love everybody else sometimes. It's hard to love ourselves. It's sometimes hard to love ourselves and everybody else. Take small baby steps, people. Love is always the answer, and you can do it when you find love. Go out and be the best version of you. I love you all. Good night.
What you keep, if what you keep holds truth inside, stand up, defend, or lay down and die. Freedom fighter.